Welcome back to Autism Live. I told you that our topic this week is functional communication. And, you know, we talk about functional communication a lot and all the different ways that you can do functional communication. Well, I've got a treat for you because there's a new way. There's a new kid on the block doing functional communication in a new way. You can see him over my shoulder. Paul Nightingale, we're welcoming him to the show. He is from a site called Nawmal.com. Now, am I saying that right, Paul?
You are indeed. It benefits from either an English accent or a Boston accent.
I said it. It sounds like I'm saying normal as if I'm from the Northeast. Was that the goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the goal really from day one with that was that we're normal. We're just a little bit different, right? Because we are, and that's what we try and do, and that's what we try and encourage with the work that we're doing.
Okay, and so for those who are listening, Nawmal is spelled Nawmal. You can go to Nawmal.com. And so, Paul, you have something, well, first of all, explain what Nawmal in general is, because then we're going to talk about Nawmal Spark.
Sure. So we're a company that's been in business for a handful of years. About 4 years ago, we launched our products initially into the corporate training market, so e-learning market. And what our tool does is that it allows people very quickly to create animated characters, so 3D animated characters. And we developed technology which uses artificial intelligence to drive these 3D animated characters. And what that results in is that the users don't really need a high level of skill training in 3D animation to be able to make a character talk. So initially that was being used in the training market as a tool to create training videos. We also had adoption within the classroom, within a traditional education classroom where teachers was using the tool to create lesson assignments or to grab students' attention. But it was also simple enough to use that students from second, third grade were able to use the software to create their own animated presentations. So that's kind of our background. It's this 3D animation tool that allows you to create talking avatars. About a year ago, it became evident that we had a number of users on the spectrum that were using our software. And that sort of initially piqued my interest, so we decided to invest some time to learn about how those people were using the software, what they were doing with it, and what they liked about it and what they didn't like about it. So we started talking with families of people using the software at home, also with schools that we'd identified that were working in special education. So we'd have teachers whose focus was on working in ASD or with other learning difficulties who'd been using our software. And we reached out to all of them to try and get stories back of how they were using it. And what we found was incredible and warranted then investing more time in better understanding that, collating information, and trying to transition from anecdotal stories of individuals who were using our tool at home as a communication aid. For whatever reason, they may felt more comfortable in using a talking avatar to speak for them. It could be the dynamic of that user being able to control the process of creating their talking avatar, that they feel more comfortable in doing that. We have examples from families where a mother and son were conducting conversations between two characters within our app. So they would have a virtual conversation or a conversation between the virtual characters that they wouldn't have in person. So we started to discover this enabling capability of using these 3D avatars. And in part, there's a little vicarious distance, right? So it's not happening face-to-face, it's happening within the software. And so our users can control exactly what they want the character to do. They can make it say what they want it to say. They can change what they want it to say. They can do that on their own before they then share it with other people.
And so Paul, this is amazing because it's an amazing opportunity. What skills do they have to be able to do this? And what are you finding that it's just very intuitive for them?
So we know that the software is pretty easy to use, but that's a very loose description, right? People have different levels of skill sets coming into this. But we do know that in some of the classrooms of the schools that we're working with, kids from age 8, within 15 minutes of first exposure of the software, have created conversations within the app. So the requirement to use the current version of the technology is to be able to read and write, or read and type. What we've done since embarking on this discovery path, so there's been a few phases of what we've done. One was to pull together information. We then took that to a couple of organizations that are present within this world, Autism Speaks notably to begin with, to get their validation on what we were seeing. They very kindly opened the door to introduce us to a number of organizations, and we're now working very closely with a handful of schools with expertise working with students with autism. And what we're learning from those interactions is the way that they're using the software in the classroom and things that we can do to improve our software that's being led by feedback from those teachers, the therapists, and the students on what they like doing with the software. So one of the things that we've done is to look to try and extend the accessibility of our app beyond reading and typing. Is we've now have an agreement in place with Tobii Dynavox to use their Boardmaker icons. And we've prototyped a version of our software that uses the sort of standard pictos from Boardmaker to enable you to input phrases using those icons that are familiar to a number of people within this space. Now, the software, again, really the focus on this is ease of use and supporting however somebody wants to work with the software. So we support typing as an input. We also do recorded voice, so you can speak, record your voice, and then the character will automatically lip sync to what you've recorded. And initially, I wasn't sure how useful that would be, but we're now starting to see that being able to enable a user to mirror their own performance and to have a character speak what they've recorded can be really beneficial. And this idea of supporting as many ways for people to create what they want to say is key, and it goes beyond straightforward communication. Like what we've started to tap into is exposing individuals' creativity. Like they tell stories using our software. It's not just I want water. It's not like basic functional communication. It's expression. It's expression about personality, what I like, what scares me that comes across in a story, sense of humor that's being expressed by by individuals who are not comfortable with verbal communication. They're expressing a sense of humor. To me, this is amazing, wonderful, and it's a driver towards where we're going with what we're developing now, is to better support that.
It's absolutely amazing. I can't even imagine, for the individuals that have this technology and have been using it, and their parents, are you just getting the best compliments in the world, Paul?
It is. I've never experienced anything like this in my life, where the feeling that we have for what we're doing is incredibly rewarding. Because previously we were in the corporate training world, right? And it's a totally valid world to be in. We were helping people do their job better, hopefully. But we were helping them create animation more cost effectively.
Yeah.
What we're talking about now is a real change that can have a real impact on some people's lives. And we know from feedback from some of the families that, that I'm sure you're familiar with that, as an anxiety level builds, so a communication ability may decrease.
Right.
Right. So one of the families that we talk with, the mother was saying that she better understands sooner what's frustrating her son before his anxiety level builds, and they on occasion avert a violent outburst because they're able to address that more quickly. Now, that's because he's more comfortable expressing this and feels more adept at doing that within the software. And that person, Vito, sends me videos, short videos from time to time. The last one he sent, he was impersonating me in the video. Hi, this is Paul from Nawmal. It's fantastic. And I'd love to say that this was by design and that we knew this was going to resonate and was going to find this market or enable this market. It's purely by coincidence, but I do pride us on being sensitive to it and being able to then spend some time to investigate what this is. Now, having pooled information, the next phase was, okay, validate, does this really make sense? And then secondly, are we hurting anyone in this process? And I don't believe we are, right? We don't want to damage anyone by enabling them to communicate. So really our platform is just a way for them, I think it opens a door.
Absolutely.
And if somebody is more comfortable in communicating this way, that's fantastic. And so what we're now doing is building some streamlined applications that support some of the use cases that we've identified here. And one of those is on helping somebody express themselves. The other one is a tool to support conversational practice. And that can be between a family member and a student or an individual, their family member. We know we have schools that are using it in that way currently, where a student who was very reluctant to communicate, typed 3 words the first time he used the software, has now had a conversation with the teacher that works with him about his favorite film. Oh. And I don't lay claim that this is a solution, but we've definitely tapped into something really compelling here. So our goal now is to continue to develop, to improve what we're doing, to make it more accessible to more people, and learn from that. And we're being led by the people that are using the software, which is great.
Well, I have to congratulate you on listening, because I love that this came about through Kismet, but that you paid attention. As you said, you were sensitive, and now you've picked this up, and what an amazing, amazing gift to our community. So let's get down to the bare bones of it. Where do people go to try it and to see what it is and to get excited about it? How do they get all started?
So we're in the process of transitioning our business a little bit, actually, because we've gone through this phase of looking at what we can do, and I think there is something we can do, so we're going to embrace that even more. We have a website up that's called spark.nawmal.com. You can go to nawmal.com, Nawmal.com, and it directs you to Spark. And Spark really is just this blanket initiative that we're using of trying to spark an idea, of trying to spark some communication with the goal that people can build on that. Because we're not communicating for them, we're just giving them a way to do that. So if you go to Nawmal or to spark.nawmal.com, there's some of what I've just been talking about is represented on there. So some of the conversations we've had, some of the uses that we've seen, and we're now starting to build out that website with more examples. One of the longer term goals of what we're trying to do is to share resources between users of our software. So that can be that if I build a conversational exercise with my child because I want them to practice going into a pizza restaurant and feeling comfortable and how they could, what to expect and what their interactions could be. I think the term that circulates within this world is social stories. So it's depicting these social scenarios. So we can model that with our software. What's really unique about our software is then the student or the family member can practice those conversations that they've just seen within the software in that conversational format to reinforce the learning, for them to practice, build familiarity, and build some competence within it, or confidence. So there's a unique sort of twist that we're doing on that. Our goal is to enable people to share those little scenes so that not everyone has to invent from scratch the same learning, the same lessons that they, and I've seen, and I've spoken with people who've built this huge library of resources that they've used with their own child. And then there's a willingness to share that stuff. So we'd like to be able to facilitate that for the sharing of information. What we're working towards through Spark is to spark connections between individuals, their families, and their friends, so that we could do online communication between people using the avatars as a safe place to do those conversations. So Spark is the sort of umbrella for those initiatives of these new apps we're building. Like I mentioned, we have this deal with Toby now to incorporate their board maker icons as a simplified interface. That those will be under this Spark umbrella. So if you go there, there's a free trial that you can take. You can sign up for, you try the software, see if it's something that your child, if your students respond to. And I've asked the schools that we work with what the response has been from their students. Have any of them tried the app and then left it, like lost interest in it? And they said it really falls into two categories. Either a student who's just not interested and won't touch it, or if they do start using it, they want to go all the way. They want to explore everything within the software. And the software is very powerful, right? It allows you to do these conversations, but it also allows you to add expression, gesture to the characters. So you can model facial expressions within there using emoticons that you drop into the text, and wherever you drop that emoticon in, the character will smile, or they'll frown, or they'll do that expression or gesture. So modeling simplistic expressions and body language is entirely doable within the software. We can also move characters around, move the cameras around, so you can become quite sophisticated and quite adept using the software. And what we've found to date actually is most of the early users that we'd identified who are on the spectrum like to use all of those tools. They like to explore this.
Wow.
Because one of the things we're capturing here, or we're capitalizing, is it's like a game engine. It's like a game.
Yeah.
So communication becomes, practice of that communication is fun. And it's not an exercise, it's fun. You can make that character swear, you can make them do silly things. And we know of one of the founders that we work with where the son models arguments in the software between two characters. He doesn't show that to anyone else. He doesn't want to share it with anyone else. He's doing that so that he understands the dynamic of what's going on there. So this is, we've built an entry door to enable you to try the software, see if your child, family member, student likes it. If they do, subscribe, then you get full access to what's going on. Currently, we run on Windows devices, so it's on a laptop, on a PC, or on a Windows tablet. And part of that is we do a lot of computation that's going on here, right? We're doing artificial intelligence and a 3D game engine. That doesn't work so well on the cloud. Now, the more we learn about how we're using this, we will build other versions that are lighter and more usable on different platforms. But today, it runs very well on a low-end Windows device, and we work quite closely with Microsoft, who now have $250 clamshell laptops that they sell in education, which are perfectly adequate for running this.
Wow.
So we built it to be accessible we don't demand a high-end gaming computer workstation. It's relatively accessible. If you've got a 5-year-old PC, it should work on that.
This is amazing, and I think you're going to find it's going to do a lot more things that you don't even know yet. I want to encourage you at some point when you have time, but you've got all these things going on. I want to encourage our viewers to, even with your children that are a little bit younger, give this a try and see what you think and what happens, because just that ability to move the eyebrow, do whatever, becomes a modeling system. And I would be interested in seeing data on how well a person addresses a social situation before they use your app and afterwards, because I bet it's going to help to teach them those aspects too.
We've identified a few research projects that we'd like to do.
Yeah.
And we are building relationships with some research organizations who fortunately have people who are way more intelligent than I am that can look after that how you manage that process. And the goal with that is we will learn through those interactions, and we can see what we can build, what it can grow to, what can transfer from within the app to outside of the app. And so we will quantify that, and we will publicize that. But what we know today is that all of the users who are on the spectrum using our software are using the existing technology that's there, and they get significant benefit from doing it. And that benefit can be as minimal as respite, right? They're just having fun doing this thing, to expressing something about their personality, their creativity, their emotion within those videos that they create. There's an example on our website. It's just described because one of the things we have to be very wary of here is privacy, right? So I'd love to be able to show all of these students that we work with and how they're using it. That's not the case. But we will describe some of those utilizations. And one of them is with this 14, 15-year-old boy in the UK who writes stories within the software. His example that his mom told me about was he and his friends locked in the classroom at school because their teacher had forgotten about them. So there's this story of jeopardy within there. In it, he's expressing a sense of humor, but it's a story, and I come from a storytelling background. So we communicate things through those stories. So is that a fear that's being communicated, right? Of being locked in somewhere and left on your own. So again, this is very early stages. We've devoted a year of time to understand this and to now start to move this forwards. But if we can, for a small number of people or a large number of people, help build this connection and communication, then it's a worthwhile effort.
Amazing. Paul, I wish I had a lot more time to talk. We're out of time, but we got to have you back again as this builds and grows. But I really want to encourage people, go to Nawmal, NAWMAL.com, or what is the Spark?
Spark.nawmal.com.
Okay, spark.nawmal.com, and check it out. Sign up for the free trial. And check it out, and we'd love to hear from you guys. If you're using it at home and it's working for you, I can't wait to play with this because it's just amazing. So thank you, and thank you everybody that you're working with. We have to say goodbye.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for the opportunity to introduce what we're up to. We're really excited by it. I look forward to coming back and updating you again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And you guys, we're past time, so I have to say goodbye, but we're back all this week with shows, and we are going to recap what happened at the Ed Asner Poker Tournament. So tune in tomorrow. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.